This one is all about politics. This is what we're going to talk about. And if you caught my last video, for me, it's only been a couple minutes. For you, it might have been a day or so. But we're going to talk about some of the disharmony on the left and why I think it's a good thing personally. So the TYT fiasco, right? Everybody got a video out. Why not me? So, hey, bring me out of retirement. Talk a little bit about, TYT, Jank, not so much Anna, you know what I'm saying? Because Anna's one of the main reasons I started watching them years ago. Real talk. But anyway, I'm not a big fan proponent for TYT. Just go ahead and put it out there. I don't have a dog in this fight. I've never given them any money. I barely account for any of their views. But I just think it's super important because it's an important part of what's happening today, right? We just came off of an election where a lot of people on the proverbial left or so-called left are very disenchanted, right? Very disheartened. And I personally, I see this as a great moment. Not overall in the landscape. This is bad. We're in some dire times here. Some people who really mean to do some horrible things are going to be doing some horrible things. And the only thing that can stop them or check them is themselves. So, yeah, it's about to be rough, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully not as bad as we've been thinking it is, right? Hopefully a little bit of Chicken Little's going on. But, yeah, it's going to be rough. But the disharmony, get back on track. So the disharmony on the left, right? I think this is a good thing. And the reason why is because in order to get something that is out of order into order, you have to break some things. You have to reassess some things. And when that shakes out, you can oftentimes find yourself in a different place than where you began. And for me, that is what TYT and its shift symbolizes, right? I look at TYT as they've been around for like 20 years. I'm not going to rehash all the stuff going on because y'all already know. They've been around for like 20 years. They were literally one of the first in the game on YouTube to speak against power, to challenge the Democratic and the Republican Party, to bring what is called progressivism into the light. Right? They are what I would say to be a vanguard, right? The leading edge of a movement. And I think that is part of why there's so much emotion and anger and disappointment in the pivot that they've taken. And now I'm going to speak on this in a couple different ways because my politics don't fully align with them anyway. I am not a progressive. I guess if you lined out many of my views, they would be progressive, but I myself do not identify as progressive because I have issues with how the progressives conduct themselves and with some of their flighty behavior, right? Which is understandable as well, because this is how I could define the left, right? Because I think that's super important. So the left is a collection of aggrieved groups, in my mind. They're a collection of aggrieved groups. They are disaffected Republicans. They are disaffected conservatives. They are liberal moderates. They are corporate liberals. They are revolutionary socialists. They are some are revolutionary communists. Some are focused on their particular group, like me, where I'm mainly centered on how do we work within the Black community to strengthen the Black community's relative positioning with other groups that we have to compete with in order to have a comfortable life here in America, right? So my particular flavor may be more centered on Black, but then Another is more centered on the queer community. Another is centered more on the trans community in particular. Another is centered more on the poor, more centered on the unhoused, right? More centered on the working class poor, right? Which is not quite the same as just being poor, right? And all these groups, they all got those who are focused on women's issues. You got those who are focused on white male issues. Well, most of them are actually on the Republican side, whatever. But we got all these different groups. But on the left, one of the main things, the tie that binds, is that we're not Republicans. That's what it is, right? The main thing that ties us together is we are not Republicans. We are not conservatives, right? We do not put our arms around capitalism and hug it for dear life. We want to lead, and this is a big general statement, but we want to lead with decency. No matter your faith, you do not need to subscribe to any particular religion. You can be non-religious, against religion, all the things, and you have a home on the left. On the right, not so much, right? You need to kowtow to their brand of Christianity. And I say it that way because that's a whole nother discussion that we have on other platforms. But anyway. So the left is a hodgepodge of passionate groups of people and individuals. And we find ourselves in a position where we have to rely on the Democratic Party en masse because they're the only other juggernaut in the game. And there are sections on the left who are definitely more, third party minded. Green Party is the one I hear most about, but there's all these cottage industry third parties that pop up. And I mentioned the Green Party because in my future videos or separate videos, I'm actually going to hit on that some, but because I got plans for you. Anyway, that's the left, right? There is no cohesion beyond a basic sense of be decent, let people live, right? And because of that tenuous tie, all of our other politics are left in a manner way floating. They're extremely serious to each of us for what our niche is, but they're so disparate, and sometimes they even conflict, that they haven't been able to be marshaled in such a way that you can oppose the right, because the right is very much organized. They're having a little feud right now, right? But what their feud is really a fight among leadership. Okay. And the masses that sit underneath them, they're still being ignored. They don't know they're being ignored. At least it doesn't seem like they know, but they're still being ignored. The elites are vying for a position. Is it going to be corporate control, or is it going to be racist control? Is it going to be racialist? Because everybody over there ain't racist, right? So that's their fight. I ain't worried about them too tight. Not with respect to this conversation. But the left, though, we are in a state of chaos because the people who voted for Kamala are wagging their finger at the people who didn't vote at all, or the people who voted third party. And I admit I'm part of the wag the finger crew, but I'm wagging it in a different way. I'm not wagging because you didn't vote Democrat per se. I'm wagging it because it goes against my pragmatic view of harm reduction. And yes, I understand there's a very strong argument for not allowing harm reduction to seize the day, because it can quell energy and it can create even more apathy than you were trying to oppose, right? So I get that. There's a case for and against so many different things. But that fight's going on. And you got the people who don't vote at all. And then you got the people who chose not to vote this time. Not the same people. Okay. So the left has a lot of stuff going on. And if we want to really make a change, and we really want to have something to fight this monster on the other side, then we need to go through this, right? And we need to have some real serious conversations. And I'm gonna broach a touch of that right now, and that's why I chose TYT. I think they're an excellent, excellent example of what needs to happen and what really shouldn't happen. Right. So first thing I would say is think of this political thing, this left and right. I know it's reversed for y'all, but this is my left hand. So left and your right, right? The issue, and many of us know this, the issue is on that, there we go, left and right. Okay. I hate being on the camera. But anyway, the Republican Party is way right. Okay. To the point that they're racialist, racist, classist, and zealots, right? They got all that going on. But the left, but the Republicans, like I said, they're way out here on the right. The Democrats are just left of the right. Okay, they're still on the right. They're just left of the right. They're not our friends. Not people like me. They're not our friends. Okay, they're corrupt in their own way. You probably already say plenty of times. Republicans are like religious zealots, right? They act out of this real hard emotional draw. Whatever the emotional draw is, it's an emotional draw. Religion or race, right? Or money, right? That's the thing. The left, not the left, the Democrats, they're like mercenaries. Okay. They exist solely to oppose the Republican Party. That's it. They don't have a real bone in their body that stands on a moral principle. Okay. They're not about decency. They're not about humanitarianism, not about any of those things. They do those things because those things are in opposition to the Republicans. Got it? So when you see the Democrat Party championing any of our positions or views, it is out of expediency because they draw their power and their money from our side. But they position themselves right of center because they need to have money. And in order to have money, you need rich people. And rich people exist overwhelmingly right of center. Okay. They don't go way out to the right for the most part because it's bad for business. But they do stay right of center because it's good for business. It's good for their taxes. It's good for their control of regulations. It's good for getting the treaties and the trade deals that they want, right? That's all happens on right of center. And then you got all of us who kind of sit more center and then to the left. Varying degrees of the left. Like this thing they say, the extreme left, I don't give it any credence because what they're really doing is they're just trying to break us apart because they're saying those who are online are the extreme left. Well, if that's all you got, there ain't that many of us. And I don't even count myself that far out there, right? And many of you hearing me won't count me way out there. But we have to, no matter where you sit on the left, we have to stop allowing how our opposition defines us to become how we define us. We have to stop that. It's if you're using their terminology for your movement, you will lose because they're setting the tempo, they're setting the rules, right? And then we get mad that they change the rules, and then the fact that they can change the rules means you're giving them too much power. The power that they have, let it be what it is and fight that, but don't give them additional power to use to split you apart. And we're very much split. So TYT, bringing it back there, that is what I'm saying is a good show, because a good showing of what I'm talking about, because TYT started this thing. Because of TYT, in large part, we have so many progressive voices. We have people in Congress that openly identify as progressives. You have people in Congress who are progressive aligned, even if they're not progressives. You have activists who are solidly progressives. You have all of these things happening, and many of them owe their existence to the platform that TYT created. TYT created multiple shows, multiple personalities, didn't create the personalities, but got them in front of us and let them go on to be other things. Like you got your Sam Cedars and you got your I think it's Kyle Kalinske, I don't know, the secular and the humanists and all them people. You got these voices out here that are really good and they say their things. You got Francesca Fiorentini, you got, John Adarola, right? You got JR, right? These folks are out there and Emma Vigeland, right? These folks are out there and they got out there because of things that TYT did for us, right? Now they were chasing their money, right? They were getting after the bag, but it's because of their platform that we had those other things. So let's not forget that and understand that just because something no longer serves you doesn't mean that it's no longer of service, right? So TYT is pivoting. TYT came out of this election and they're deciding, in my view, is wrong. It's wrong what they're doing because they owe it to their base to either be more honest with it or at least seek more buy-in, which they didn't do. They just did what they did and said, people will follow because we know better. We created this thing, so we know better, right? And that was foolhardy. That was an ego-driven move by Cenk and Anna, in my opinion. And this thing where they think that they can reach out and touch somebody's hand on the Republican side, and MAGA is somehow going to be like, yeah, we do want some of those same things, and we'll work with you on that, as long as you ain't got no black folks and no immigrants. What? Right? So I think they're foolhardy in that what they want to do has great intentions. If you believe what Cenk has been saying, which I personally believe that you should give him that level of credibility, that benefit of the doubt, because of all the service he has provided to this so-called movement. So if he says that he's doing it for the reasons he says he's doing it, believe him, right? It doesn't hurt you. Believe him. Trust him that he is well-meaning and well-intentioned in what he's doing to, one, protect his business, two, serve the movement. He's just doing it in a way that he feels it makes sense. I don't agree with it, which is why I don't watch TYT. But I can't. I got to get a man of respect for what he's done, right? So he's making this pivot. He's moderating, in my view, and he's trying to go out and do the thing like that crazy black dude was doing. I make friends with Klansmen, and then I convert them one by one. All right. One by one change ain't going to get us where we need to go. One by one change is what you do in your community and in your neighborhoods, right? One by one is having the patience with your cousin or your uncle and letting them work through, this thing over time until they finally realize, oh, wait, yeah, I am being played with. I am being manipulated. One by one is the racist grandfather whose granddaughter falls in love with a black man and comes back with a black baby. And then because of that baby, he realizes his understandings were so wrong because proximity has gotten to him, and the love for this baby is forcing him to challenge his deep-seated ideas, and then he becomes a better person. We've been hearing that nonsense for hundreds of years, right? That's not going to get you the change that you need in the way and in the rooms and in the spaces that you need. It's good to have, but it's not fast enough, right? It's not impactful enough. As a tactic, I guess you could say, right? It's good, and as part is like in the peripherals. So I think that's misguided of them. I don't think you can convert MAGA. I don't. Not after this. After 10 years of this, they're very consistent in what they believe, even if they don't understand why they believe it, even if they can't articulate why they believe it. Many of the reasons that they can't articulate is because they know if they use the words that really explain why they are where they are, it won't be acceptable. And so instead they dodge and they give you sound bites and things like that, because if they really got at it, they would have to admit, yeah, it's because I don't like black people. Yeah, it's because I don't like Latinos. I mean, I don't speak my language, right? If they really got into it, they would see that they'd have to identify with white superiority or white supremacy, one of the two. And that is very disruptive. Cognitive dissonance kicks in and they just can't go there. They might feel it, but they don't want to put words to it. And trying to get through to MAGA at this stage, to get them to work through all the levels to get to what I just said, man, please, that's the work for other people. And apparently, Cenk and Anna have decided that's the work for them. And so I say, let them do it. Okay? Don't throw them out. Don't toss them off. Because if they're able to be successful and convert any of these people, that serves our purpose, our bigger purpose. So don't disown these people. You don't agree with them on trans issues. Okay. You might not agree with me on certain issues, right? Okay. But are they serving the overall purpose? Are they moving you closer to the direction you want to go as a big movement, not you individually? And if the answer is yes, then what you do is you treat them like a vehicle, right? It's a lot of buses heading towards change. It's a lot of buses going that way. And TYT was just one vehicle. So now get off. Let TYT do what it does. Let TYT moderate. Let it go and do this new outreach mission that it's wanting to do. And who knows, it may be the perfect vehicle that as we get off of it, that the disaffected Republicans who are truly homeless right now, they can get on that bus, right? The bulwark type people, right? You know, even though I think they're a little bit, anyway, I like the bulwark for what they are, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know, that might not be the best. They probably a different bus, but TYT being moderating the way that it is will allow those, like, say, of my generation, the Gen Xers, and the older millennials who have moderated, they can ride with them, and they're still working towards opposing corporate largesse. They're still working towards fighting against this ownership of the masses by this small group of elites. They're still fighting against union busting. They're still doing the work. They're just not aligned with some of our social lines, right? Cool. Let them go do that job, right? And then if you like Ben Dixon, if you like Sam Cedar, if you like Emma Vigeland, if you like whoever you like on the other parts of the left, attach to them, jump on their bus, all right? Because that bus is still heading the way you want to go, and it still aligns with some more of your more social priorities, right? Prerogatives, right? And that's what I say. That's what I'm saying. That's why I like TYT's dysfunction right now, because it's shining a light if we're willing to look at it and say, guys, this is the perfect time to reassess your relative positioning within the movement, create new alliances, create new partnerships, and allow people to serve the movement the way it needs to go. I consider myself to be a bit of a study of the civil rights movement, and there were different parts of that movement, right? If you couldn't rock with Martin Luther King, you might be willing to rock with Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture. If you can't rock with him, you might rock with Malcolm, right? If you can't rock with him, you might rock with Fannie, right? All of them were working in the same movement, James Gauntlet, Farmer, whatever the name is, the NAACP guy, right? There's different angles. They're all driving buses going somewhere. They're all driving buses heading towards where you want. They want better rights for the Black community. They want better rights for the working class and the working poor out in the fields. They want better rights, and they want better protections. How they want it, slightly different or seriously different. Get on the bus that fits you best and let's go. Because when the bus stops, we need to get out and get to work. So that's my take on the TYT fiasco. You may not agree with me, which would be kind of hard not to agree with me, because I really didn't nail anything down other than say, slow your roll a touch and pick your lane, right? Because what happens when you toss TYT out, right? Think that one through. What happens when you toss them out? Okay. You should withdraw your memberships and your financial support and your views if they don't align with you anymore. You absolutely should do that. But the attack on who and what they are, to destroy the platform itself while we talking all this noise about how the left needs more platforms, that's foolish, right? That's one of the things we have. We have, to the extent we have, right? But we have CNN, MSNBC, and we have TYT, right? These are three huge networks. TYT dominates the left space as far as non-standard media. And then you got your corporate media of your CNNs and the MSNBCs, which are truly corporatist, but they're still catering for now somewhat to the left. Well, don't give those over. Don't give them up to the right. So now they have three more big platforms. No, pour into the parts that you can work with. Use this like guerrilla warfare, right? I need this. So I'm going to create whatever alliances, tenuous as they may be, to get these things to stay where I want them to be and say more of the things I want them to say. Will they always line up? No, but they're serving my purpose more than my enemy, more than my opposition. That's what we need to do. And at the same time, do what we say we want to do. Build more platforms to speak the language we want spoken, right? If somebody else isn't doing it the way you want it, do it better yourself. Right? That's why I'm out here speaking into the wind. Right? So let's do that. Right? Let's take this as an opportunity to let TYT shrink down to what it needs to shrink down to so that they can do whatever pivot they want to do, but keep them in the fold so that they're still hosting people that we want on there, like John, like Fran, right? That like JR, right? Those are the only names I really know on TYT. Let's be real. But so they're hosting those people. We still have them there on a major platform, and then they can do whatever moderating views they want to do. They can have other conservative people on there if they want to. I don't care. That's their program. But let's make sure our voices are still being heard there, and it's still catering to us, right? The channel, the network is still catering to us, which it still does right now, just not the way we want it to. So keep it in the fold, let it shift, and focus more of our energy on the things that are still doing more of what we want. Give them the money. Pull your membership from there, put it over there. That's what I recommend. So that was me, Complex Mind, Simple Man, talking about politics today, the TYT fiasco. And yeah, catch me on the next video.